Hello, hello, hello. It's 5 o'clock New York time, and it's Radio Free Wall Street, and this is the closest I've been on time all day. Oh my, what a day. By the way, I appreciate you guys. I want you to know that. And we got a hot hand, as you're seeing. And don't get cocky, okay? You're always one trade away from humility, but so far so good. Yeah, we're seeing things unfold, and I wanted to dedicate this show because something significant happened today, which I hadn't seen in a while, and that is the markets have finally woken up and paying attention to this trade war. I mean, this is not the art of the deal. This is not a sophisticated negotiation. This is being a shithead and pissing everybody off. And all of a sudden the markets are going, wait a minute, soybeans crashed by in price. Oh, Mr. Farmer Green Jeans, you voted for Donald Trump. By the way, I did too, so he's your monster. He's our monster, huh? So, let me say this to you. ETFs are doing well. They're coming back a long way and building very nicely. And the enhanced stuff is already hitting home runs. And we are building on the coming recession, which is a slam dunk with the Fed raising rates and 10 years of easing being pulled back. Okay, that's a no-brainer, really is. But we're also building on something else, and that is the fact that Donald Trump started one hell of a trade war here. And we've been talking about that quite a bit, as you know. And as you know, it's been something the market has pretty much ignored. Look, we had the NASDAQ put in just last week new record-breaking highs, right? And I'm not afraid of the market. The VIX is, our beloved VIX, as I should say, went down and touched down the bottom area. They sure changed their mind today. They're starting to build into a risk profile. By the way, not even close to what they're getting, but the point is they finally turned around. And the point is, another point is, I'll put it that way, is that all of a sudden the stock market's going, well, wait a minute. We're not so comfortable here. Who's afraid of the big bad boogeyman? We're a little afraid. And the market has started pricing in fear. Oh, my. And, wow. This trade war is an event that I've always feared, okay? Now, I don't mean just with Donald Trump. I remember years ago when people started calculating the balance of trade to analyze trades, I went, whoa, wait a minute. This is a very dangerous way of looking at things, a very simplistic computation. Where is your banking on the service sector? Where is the money being recirculated back into your economy? Where is currency values in this thing? Where are movies, intellectual property, computer programs, Facebook, and things that Americans have invented that actually came around after the dinosaur age? I don't know if most people realize that this is called the merchandise balance of trade deficit. Merchandise. I mean, that's can openers and dog shit plastic Tupperware bowls and all that crap. It leaves out royalties and patents, for example. It leaves out licensing fees, movies. Remember, everybody dances the way the movie guys tell you to dance, and they dress the way the movie girls dance. And they drink, eat, sleep, and it's the influence of that thing. Also, fees for franchises are not in there. There's a whole lot of things that are not in that index that was always, we've always warned about that it was a very bad way to look at it, okay? And the other thing is that if you've got an emerging market and you're bringing those people around to your products and your goods, you're winning, aren't you? I mean, they're becoming your slaves. They're going in for what you're telling them to buy. And, again, it gets into the situation, the marketplace is just not understanding that, doesn't want to. And the politicians don't want either. So it's a way of just building this hate-filled kind of whole scenario of events that just kind of leaves out what are things that are not included in those indices, okay? And, like I said, we warned for a long time. We're very, very worried about this. And now what's happening is, should we say it's not the most enlightened people in the world that are batting around these numbers. And now on the basis of the merchandise trade deficit, we're doing something really stupid, really ugly. And that is we are starting a damn freaking trade war. And not something you want to do. and not something that'll end up very nicely either. So all of a sudden, you can see your way into a pretty ugly future. And I know the people who are looking into this thing. I mean, it kind of gets into where do you want to go with this thing, and how do you want this thing to work out? And is Donald Trump really the guy I want to make these decisions? Is he really the guy that understands this thing? It's a very simplistic analysis of events, and one that does not take into account, like I said, all the trade goods. But that's not the issue here. The issue here is Donald Trump's going to do what he wants to do. And he has taken up on him trade authority that really is not something he should have. And he is moving along a direction that will end very badly. And that's not even the issue tonight. The one we want to talk about is the fact that, holy shit, the markets are finally understanding it. Somebody's woken up and go, wait a minute. We're in a damn trade war. And Donald Trump is beating the shit out of everybody. And maybe we should pay attention to where this is going to go, because it's going to end very badly. And that's the discussion. I want you to understand that whether you agree it's a trade war or not, whether your position is, understand the marketplace is finally understanding it's a trade war. And that has not happened before. And that is, as I regard, as a big ass shit in the making. Where does this happen? Where does this go? Well, my opinion is, and I want to be very clear, I think it's going to end very, very badly. I think this is going to end in a crack up along the runway. I believe this is going to end up in a lot of pain, a lot of misery. And I think it's the saddest thing you could ever imagine. People do not understand that he has opened the Pandora box, literally. And what pops out of that thing, I can tell you, I'm not sure. Like I said, the soybeans market's crashed. That means that all of a sudden people are starting to figure out that, hey, there is an ugly side of this thing, and we are going in a direction that no one knows where this thing goes. And I've been in these discussions on these things, and it was this was one of our disaster master scenarios, because people do not understand. I know I'm stumbling around here with this thing because it's hard for me to explain that you've got an event here that is not being properly quantified in the marketplace. Okay, you got an event here that the markets have not priced in before. Okay, this is something brand new. I mean, we've had trade wars and we've had discussions on trade, and everybody knows that. But what we didn't know was how it was going to end up. Okay, and now all of a sudden, people are going, wait. What exactly are we doing? And all of a sudden, people are saying, we got a big problem here, and we're not understanding what this problem is or where it's going. And that is the kind of thing that wipeouts are made out of. Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to convey to you is that, in my mind, this is the kind of event that could end up very badly. And this is the kind of event that you have a hard time quantifying. You just what am I looking at? Where is this thing going, and how's it going to end up? And let me try to clarify my thoughts. As you can see, I'm really struggling with this. I think it's incredible that anybody would do this. Okay, and that's what I'm struggling with. In other words, it's beyond comprehension. Okay, here, let me clarify it this way. I understand the art of the deal. Really, I understand wanting to get elected. I understand Donald Trump's aggressiveness. Okay, I do. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's the smartest way of handling this thing. But I truly understand what his thinking is. Okay. Now, here's my problem. My problem is that he could actually throw the world into turmoil. In other words, I wonder that, it's like kind of like, you got the nuclear football, and it's like you can't wait to pop it off. And I'm kind of moving around this direction of like, would this crazy son of a bitch really do this? I mean, would he really, do thermonuclear war? Okay, so he's not in a thermonuclear war scenario. I'll grant you that. But he's in something very ugly here. You hearing me? You guys, you got to hear me. Don't let them poo-poo that this is the art of the deal. The Chinese are going to come around, and this is all going to be fine. Okay, that is not the situation that we're seeing. Now at the last minute, you get back down. See, with Donald Trump, one of the things is he's not predictable. Okay, he pretends that is part of his negotiation style. I'm not buying into that. I think it's more just in his inane stupidity. Okay, I have no confidence. And I want you to really understand this, that he understands exactly what this trade situation is all about. I really don't believe that he's got a grasp of this thing, and that is making me very nervous. Now, from a standpoint of trading, I'm going into a recession either way, so I don't give a shit. Fed's raising rates. I got the yield curve that's going flat. I got Europe that's in turmoil. I got Asia that is seeing a flattening with the lost exports into China, and also they got huge capital and loan problems. I got Central and South America, they're going broke. Mexico's got a problem. So we have all the ingredients for what's a plain, old-fashioned, deep, dark recession with a Latin America crisis grown into it like we've seen many times in the past. So this is not anything new. Where I'm reacting and where I'm getting very concerned is that we're making enemies out of our friends, and we're taking enemies and befriending them. Okay, so what's happened is all of our friends we're now at war with, and all of our enemies we're kissing their ass and falling into what I regard as their sugar traps. Okay, we're pushing the agenda for Vladimir Putin. That's a mistake. Giving him nunchucks. I mean, does anybody really believe this guy's giving up those weapons? There ain't no way in hell. It's not going to happen. I mean, this guy's not going to do that, okay? He has got an agenda, and his agenda is that, okay, let me ask you a question this way. You're giving him nunchucks. You got 1 million people in internment camps. You have starved millions of your population. You've had generation after generation of oppression. You really should be tried as a war criminal. You see what happened with Gaddafi giving up his weapons. You saw what happened with Saddam Hussein. And so are you really buying into that Donald Trump is going to guarantee personally your survival? You buy into that load of shit? I don't think so. And I don't think this guy is either. And I don't think his regime is. So what have I got? I'm winning on nothing. I'm winning nothing. I'm not changing the world in any way that I can think about, okay? I don't have anything going for me. I don't have anything that I can grab onto that says, okay, this is going to be all okay. Donald Trump's going to work this out, and he's going to make it real good. I'm at the point now where Donald Trump's not going to make shit good, and he's going to bring us into an ugly trade war that's going to end very badly. And that, my friends, means that as I translate this with the recession, with the Fed pulling back, with the slowdown in Europe, as I pull back on that, I'm going, I got full-fledged depression potential. Now, that might have seemed far-fetched, right? But I want to point out something to you. The whole world is screaming about oil prices higher and talking recessionary slowdown. OPEC is going to respond with a 300,000 public production cut. And then when they go home, the Saudis and, the production decrease. And when they go home, the Saudis and the Russians are going to put 1.5 million barrels per day into the marketplace and collapse the price. They've got to. They really realize. I mean, they're the adults in the room, and they realize that they got a problem. The problem is that they're throwing a world into a recession, and this recession is going to absolutely eat into demand in the oil market. And that is the last thing they need. Okay, now let's go into this trade war. Soybeans collapsed today. Stock markets around the globe were down. Gold fell out bad. Remember, gold was going to rally because oh my God, we're going to have hyperinflation. Remember that? One time I heard some asshole on one of those talking head shows talk about, well, you see, inflation's going to be spurned because of the high oil price and gasoline prices are high, and we're getting inflation because aluminum steel prices are going up, and this trade war is positive for gold. They were actually blowing that blue sky burger's ass, okay? And that was when we were under the 290 area and tested 310 3 times and failed. Now what happened? Well, 280 got knocked out today. In silver, they went up to the 17, 20, 30 area. That's been a resistance point forever, and they failed out of that. So all of a sudden, there is a understanding in the marketplace that we may not be in such a good position. And then all of a sudden that spilled over. It started last night in the foreign exchanges, and they started coming down. The BRICS, I call them the shits, are in the process of wiping out. Emerging markets and the MCI calculation there went to hell today. Shanghai index collapsed. The FTSE 100 went to the lowest end of its range and lowest price since March. The Russian Shanghai exchange collapsed. Oil prices reversed yesterday's rally and are down another 85 cents. In the Dow Jones Industrial Average, every single stock's down except for 7, and Coca-Cola was up 0.11%. So all of a sudden, everything in the S&P 500, 100, Global 1200 index is down. New York Stock Exchange Composite, Energy Index, Financial, Healthcare, International 100, TMT Index, US 100, all down. World leaders down. On the NASDAQ, Composite was down. NASDAQ 100, NASDAQ 100 equal weighted. The Q50 capital market. Now the Global market was up, but that was because the wipeout happened after that market was closed. On the New York Stock Exchange, the Amex corporate index is down, and Philly Semiconductor, Philly Oil Service, Philly Gold and Silver, Philly Housing down. So I've got myself a very wide, deep teardown. The Russian index is down. They're trying to. The ruble is now trading at the lowest price against the dollar since the beginning of the month, and we're basically in a range that goes back to March. Ruble's gotten its ass kicked. The MSCI Emerging Market Index has now dropped down, and it is now its lowest level going back to October 2017. So all of a sudden, this dreamy scenario of, remember the tax cuts break for billionaire that was going to drive this market higher? It's gone, okay? And all of a sudden people are looking at it and go, uh-oh. And what I saw here for the first time since the January wipeout, remember those 1,000-point drops? All of a sudden, fear has returned into the market. All of a sudden, these feel no fear. Not a lot. Not enough to drive the VIX just yet. But dollar's got a new high against the pound. We're going back to where we were in November 2017. The euro. All right, the euro's another one that's, all of a sudden it's going back to the never land it was before. And now the euro's at the lowest levels we've seen since November 2017. All of a sudden the market is lost. It's lost its bid. And what's happened? Copper has fallen off the high. They put another high. Platinum's fallen out of bed. Finally broke down over 880. That was supposed to be 1,000. It'd be a great trade. That thing is looking ugly. Dow Jones Industrial Average. Well, they can't get out of their way. I mean, it's you had the big rally, the velocity breakout, the upside. You had the crash, and markets only recovered 50%. NASDAQ, which broke out in a velocity to a new high, has now reversed that, looking very ugly. And the S&P 500 index is, in that 60-70% Fibonacci kind of retracement that looks ugly. And crude oil is down off the high. Remember, gasoline is, gasoline's dropping out of bed too. We're looking pushing $2.30 gasoline on the wholesale level. You're now down to $2.14. Once you break over 2,000, look out below. Oh my God, the VIX indicator was up 7% today on our index. The European VIX has been building for the last 2 days, coming off of a low. And all of a sudden, risk is an appraisal of the risk is a real situation. Dow Jones Industrial Average broke down below its 100-day moving average. That is ugliness indeed. So I've got a situation where things are not looking so good, and the markets are not properly assessing fear even yet, but they got a whiff of it. See, what you saw today was just a whiff of what's coming, and we're going to have the biggest stock market wipeout ever. Remember 2007, 8, or 9? That ain't going to be shit compared to what's coming here. You've got people that are completely confused by the immigration policy. They're completely bedazzled by what Donald Trump's telling them. FBI probe. You know, you have a thing in the marketplace that we haven't seen together, and that is both political, international, and local economic risk. In other words, you've got the recession fears that's driving your local equation. You've got the international fears of a slowdown in Europe and China, and we already started the wipeout in Latin America. You've got the political risk, okay, of what's going on with China's aggression. You got Kim Jong nunchucks that I don't think most people are buying in as a real breakthrough. You're adding the political risk of Donald Trump with his domestic problems at home. I mean, you now have to ask yourself a question, well, what is going on with this investigation? Was the FBI tainted? There's enough smoke there. I mean, oh my God, you know, you got a fog, and that's what Donald Trump's doing. But the thing that the market has finally gotten a hold of is that there's a real trade war building. This is not an art of a deal negotiation. And this is something that could spin out of control. You add all this together, and you're on the cusp of a major stock market wipeout. Let me give you a timing line. Well, Donald Trump has got to drive this economy higher. You're going to get a GDP report on the second quarter. That is in July, and that's going to give you a nice sugar high because it's going to be a nice strong number because the tax breaks and the buybacks are built in there. You'll probably get another one for the third quarter. Okay? So that takes you, will the market reverse and peak on that? That remains to be seen. Very important question. Trade wars. Well, what incentives does Donald Trump have to get a trade war resolved before the elections? I mean, his people are really buying into that. Okay, so now all of a sudden, CEOs, which were extremely up to, look, you give a CEO, you say, look, we're going to give you guys back $2 trillion. That's a party for those guys. I mean, they're buying new yachts and Ferraris and, you know, and don't forget the mansions. And now all of a sudden you go, well, wait a minute. I got a dollar that is skyrocketing value and killing my export sales. I got a trade war that's also killing my export sales. I got a backlash where people are saying we're not buying American, and all of a sudden that's starting to take root. And I got a president that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And let me tell you something. In polite circles, we don't speak of it, but in the back room where people had a few drinks, they're real concerned about Donald Trump's crazy shit. And this is a factor in the marketplace, and today was just a warning sign of what happens when a president goes out of control. What happens when trade negotiations really fall apart and people going, hell no, we ain't backing down. The incentive now to push Trump hard is becoming a strategy. See, at one time it was appeasement. Tell him how great thou art is, holy Donald Trump. And that's not working. And then you had the little scene at the G7 meeting. Let me tell you, those people will never forget that shit. They will never forget what they saw that day. And all of a sudden people go, you know, there might be no negotiation with this guy. Why bother? And when they wake up and come to that conclusion, then you're in a situation where events can very quickly spin out of control. And you have the unintended consequences. You've heard that the concept, of course. And the unintended consequences could end up in a massive spillover effect that will devastate the world economy. You know, economies are very funny things. And especially with the global economy, let's talk straight. Every corporation, every business is holding more debt than they ever had before. The financing is very iffy. A lot of the fund holders have got a problem because baby boomers calling going, hey, I want my money back. And they go, hey, call me next week. Okay, so all of a sudden, people are ready to get out of the market. They want their money. They want to retire. and the money's not there. Guys, the money's not there. Oh, yeah, you got it for the sum. But so that, like Bernie Madoff, if you get too many people asking for money back, the gig's up. If you get too many people asking for the money back at once, the gig is up. And we're rapidly approaching that. Now, on top of a recession. Remember, okay, so you could borrow the money, flip baroni, cheap interest, cheap financing, float a bond issue. That's over. Nobody's buying that shit. The credit markets are starting to suck shut. Cash, listen to me carefully. I'm a creature of the system, and cash is leaving the system like I haven't seen it happen in a long time. And I know enough about this market to tell you that when the cash goes, you ain't got a life. You ain't got an economy. And this is the stuff of recessions. Recessions are liquidity-driven events. I know you've heard all over and over again about the Fed taking away the punch bowl. They took away the punch bowl. They took away the table, the chairs. They closed the lights, emptied the hall, and the bouncers threw everybody in the parking lot and they're standing around going, what now? And what's now going to be? Biggest recession you've ever seen, followed by a depression. Our ETFs are going to work. Our enhanced trades are going to work. But this is the big kahuna. I'll tell you what I believe. And I've been there for every stock market bust, and I've been fortunate enough to call them and trade them. This is going to be the granddaddy of all of them. This is going to make 1929 look like a walk in the park, as we commonly say. This is going to be, because you got all the ingredients. You got too much credit out there that can't be paid. You got too many central banks that are broke trying to call back the money. You got a trade war. You got animosity. You got a refugee crisis. I mean, the only thing we need now is a war to get started someplace. Donald, can you arrange that?